Hello, everyone. Welcome to SeniorOpedia, the everything how-to guide for seniors and caregivers. I'm Viraf Baliwalla, your host for this episode. Back in January, I spent the month down in Cozumel, Mexico, just to get away from the cold from where I am. And I met up with a real estate agent there who had lived in Canada. He retired down there 20 years ago. We got talking, and I thought it would be a great idea for people in North America, upper US and Canada, to explore retiring abroad. And so we talked to him about it, but then I realized there's also other areas of the world that are also great for this sort of retirement. They have very populous expat zones and things like that. Recently, I went to Thailand and Vietnam, met a whole bunch of great people, and one of them has actually joined us on this show here. So I'd like to introduce Marty Johnson. We met in Vietnam. He was kind enough to say, yeah, I'll be happy to join in the podcast and talk about my experiences here. So, Marty, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
So, maybe you could just start off telling us a little bit about your background and your journey that kind of took you to Vietnam.
Sure. I did a lot of traveling previously, all over South America, Central America, Europe, several spots in Asia, and I just fell in love with Southeast Asia. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of years in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, some time down in California, was a police officer down in California, actually got injured back in the Rodney King time period and ended up doing some different careers, but I could never really do a lot because of my back was bad. And then in 2018, about 3 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden I had a neurological thing that happened in my brain and caused me to get shocks in my brain. And it's something called a suicide disease. You could Google it. And it just basically shocks your brain, and it incapacitated me. And it left me where I couldn't drive. I couldn't do much outside. And so I was just sitting there every day in my house dreaming of what I could be doing rather than sitting in my house.
I guess by that time you were on some sort of disability.
Yes, yes, I was on a
Um,
disability. At the time, I was in a walker. I'm 60 years old, but it was in a walker trying to get around because it's very disabilitating. And I loved Southeast Asia, and I wanted to retire full time and be somewhere where I enjoyed. I didn't like really being in the U.S. anymore. The culture here, the things have changed there, and then I really appreciate that. It's funny, in Vietnam, you feel free here, but it's actually the freest place that I've ever felt, and it's got this vibe to it. And so I visited, then I came back again right after COVID, lived for about 9 months on Phu Quoc Island, and just in a little boutique villa. Not villa sounds expensive. It's not super expensive. It's actually rather affordable, but right on the beach and just in the palm trees, getting my mind in a peaceful place. And you can afford something here rather than sitting in a house in a suburb somewhere dreaming about it. I'm literally living on the beach, on an island, with palm trees and a hammock, and it was paradise. And I fell in love with the people. It's just everyone you meet and you engage with. A lot of people, tourists come and they don't engage with the locals. They're from their bus looking down and just going in the tours. And once you engage with the people here, it's such a spectacular relationship you can get with them because they're so kind. And it's just the welcoming atmosphere of Vietnam really drew me here.
That's what I found too, and I've been there before, and now I went again, and this time I was only there for a week. I spent a week in Thailand and then in Vietnam for a week, and I just found that the people were so friendly. The locals were so friendly, and of course, everybody else who's an expat, they're all partying and stuff anyway, so they're assumed to be friendly. But the locals were very warm and welcoming from that standpoint.
Everything, the service is good. The only thing crazy about Vietnam is really the traffic, and it's not really bad traffic. It's just the motorcycle traffic that it looks like chaos because everybody's going in a different direction. Stoplights don't mean anything. Typically, it's just go, but somehow it works. It's like organized chaos, and it's kind of like in Vietnam in general. Once you get used to the flow and the vibe, it really becomes something special. Notice
Figure out how to weave in and out of traffic, don't you? Like,
it's like playing chicken Frogger going across the street, but you have to actually just commit and walk. You can't just sit there and do Frogger because nobody knows what you're going to do. But if you just keep walking, they'll go around you. Even at high speeds, it's crazy. But like I said, it's organized chaos.
I was amazed because actually there was somebody over there that took me on the back of their motorbike and we're scooting around and I was holding on like I was about to fall off or something.
I know that
And
feeling.
but I found that they were experts at finding their way around other traffic, didn't have the accidents and things like you would in North America. You look at the Autobahn in Germany, for example, and people are going 200 miles an hour or more, but there's no accidents.
It's weird, like when in Da Nang, you can land at the Da Nang airport, and I usually stay in the Anthong area, it's called, of Da Nang, which is the popular tourist place. And I like it not because of the tourists, but the restaurants are really good there. But you can
Right.
go from the airport all the way to your condo, your apartment, or your hotel, and traffic literally won't stop. Your car won't stop the entire time because of the flow. It's really quite amazing. There's traffic, but it flows, so you're constantly moving. So it's very nice.
But one of the reasons we started to look at doing this segment on retiring abroad, it's not because we wanted to work for the tourism board of Vietnam or any other country, but it was more so just a matter of an eye-opening experience to let people in North America know that we're not locked in here. There's lots of places in the world that are great to not only visit short term, but are great to either retire fully or in some cases you got to go and visit different places over the course of the year simply because of visas and things. But just open your mind up to that. And I was staying in a hotel and it was like $18 per night. It was so cheap in order for us to do that. So when we're sitting here as seniors in North America and you're on a fixed pension, and there's a lot of things that we can't afford. There's an affordability crisis here, but the same levels of dollars that we're getting here, we can use over there, and it just goes so much further.
Your dollar here goes so far. The place that I was staying out on Phu Quoc Island, like I said, it was just absolutely, it's like a dream. It was $400 a month. And that included my electric, my Wi-Fi, breakfast, cleaning.
Wow.
And it was like paradise. I never wanted to leave. It was that beautiful. And most of the places here, you can get a nice apartment from $250 to $600. In the tourist area, prices are going up a little bit. And when you keep on getting named a great place to live, prices tend to go up. But still, you can get a villa in Hoi An for $800 a month. We're talking about a 3 or 4 bedroom villa with a pool.
That's close to the beach too,
Yeah,
right?
that's very close to the beach, within walking distance to the beach. Right now, I'm in Keenan. My son has a 2 bedroom apartment. I can see the beach from here, and it's under $400. One of my sons, I have two sons, and one of them moved out here and really just fell in love with the country like I did. And he decided to stay. So when you go out to breakfast, I go every morning. My first thing I do is I get up, I take a shower, I go out for a walk, and I grab a fresh squeezed orange juice. We're talking fresh squeezed right in front of you. 3 oranges, and it's anywhere from 75 cents to $1. And it's the best orange juice you'll ever have.
Yeah, it's coming right off the tree. In fact, I was walking down the street and there's all these tangerine trees. Pull off the tangerine and eat it right there.
Yeah. It's amazing. The coffee culture here, there's a coffee shop on every corner. And then again, it's 75 cents to $1 for a fabulous coffee. I went for breakfast the other day, and it was about $1.10 for some beef, like little steak bites with eggs and a big old baguette to have it on. For breakfast, that and my orange juice was under $2. Where do you get that? And it's good. It's not only it's just inexpensive, the quality is good. The people that are there are nice who are serving you. They actually appreciate your business.
At the hotel that I was at, $4 was a buffet breakfast and pretty much anything you could ask for, right? You're absolutely right. Very affordable for food, especially the local stuff. We did find sometimes, though, if you went to more of a North American type of restaurant or something, the prices did go up. But if you were sticking around a more local, more boutique type of places, they were very affordable.
Yeah, that's true. Also, An Thong in Da Nang, where I was staying, is probably the most touristy spot in that town. And I could go to one of the most popular places and get a bacon double smash burger with fries and it was under $5. And the
Hmm.
quality it tastes delicious. We're not talking about, oh, this is some crazy beef. So even in the tourist areas, you can get very good prices, and the choices are amazing.
You and your wife Rika, you recommended that Indian restaurant
Hmm.
to me, and shortly after I left with you guys, I went over to that place and had dinner there, and it too wasn't very much. I left pretty full.
Yeah. I love some good Indian food. But it's also amazing because you got good pizza here, you got good Indian food, you got great Chinese, Korean, Japanese, sushi. Everything's here. It tends to be a little bit more expensive, but not much. It's still a third of the cost, a fifth of the cost of what you'd pay in the U.S. for the same amount.
There was a lot of people that I saw there from Australia, from Europe, some from US, Canada, and so all of them had that same sort of feeling about the place. It was very positive about the whole thing. I do know that when a lot of people were talking about retirement, there was a bit of a different twist to retirement because you can't really retire there or in Thailand full time. There's visa restrictions. Is that what you found as well?
One of the headaches is the visa situation. Vietnam talks about getting a longer stay visa for retirees, but they haven't done it. Currently, situation is every 90 days you have to leave the country. So depending on where you're at in the country, there's buses that literally will take you to the border. They check you out of the country. They process your visa
Mhm.
right there, and you come back. And so it is like a day trip from Da Nang. It's 6 hours to go there and 6 hours back and an hour or two there. If they're in like sleeper buses, they have TVs, they have power, they have, I mean, your own personal sleeping area, so you can just totally chill. So it's really just like taking a day and just watching videos, and it's definitely worth the hassle. I've also done visa trips to Bangkok, Malaysia, Singapore. So it's a good excuse to say, oh, my visa's up. Let's go to Bangkok for the weekend. And so if you plug that into it, it's a great way to see all of it because flights from here, I can go all the way to India round trip for $200. I can go to Bangkok for 150 round trip. I mean, Bali, everything is right here, all of these great spots. So while the visa is a hassle, it's not that big of a hassle. And actually, sometimes if you turn it around, it's actually a benefit.
When you have to leave, is there a number of times that you can do that? There's a limit.
I,
You can just go, come, go, come.
Go come. They don't seem to care. Currently in Thailand, they've changed that so where they're actually saying, okay, you've been here more than 6 months, and now we're not going to give you. So everybody's a little nervous in Thailand right now because of their having that problem. There's been people here for years and years doing the same exact process. They've changed it over time, and it was 30 days. Now it's 90 days. So they're going in the right direction. And at some point, I'm sure they're going to have some kind of retirement visa because, I mean, there's so many people who want to stay longer. And it only makes sense. It's not driving them any revenue. I mean, it's not worth the money on the visas because the visas are cheap. They're only $25 for 3-month visas. So they're not making money on the visas.
I know that they've got Facebook groups for expats in all of these different countries, and there is a lot of complaining about that whole visa situation. And even though it's gotten better, there's still a lot of people who aren't exactly happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that don't want it, they can find Albania gives you a 1 year visa. You have a choice. You can go there.
Mhm.
I like Albania, but it's not the same vibe as here. It's something when I get off the plane here. I literally just get off the plane and my stress level just goes. It's something about it. I don't know what it is.
That's what I found too. And the fact that you're right on the beach, like this beautiful Mikey Beach is just beautiful and it's huge, very long. The water is gorgeous. You can jump in. And of course, being much closer to the equator, it's warm pretty much all year long.
Yeah, it is. We definitely have a rainy season here for us. But even then, it rains for a little while and then it comes out and it's sunny again. So it's not bad. And the beautiful thing about the beaches here is you can go to the beach and usually if you're ordering any kind of drinks or food, there's lawn chairs there with the covers. You just go there, relax. At worst, you're going to pay 20,000 dong, which is about 85 cents in the U.S. for a beach chair with an umbrella. And then when you go, if you want to order a drink, it's between $1 and $2, depending on how fancy the place is. So it's not even killing you to go there, enjoy the beach, where you're not having to spend $15 on a bottle of beer, San Diego or something, to enjoy the same quality that you're getting here. So it is drastically different in price and the quality and just the atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Every morning I would get up and I would go for a walk on the beach, a half-hour walk, come back. You're already awake now and refreshed a little bit, and did a bunch of work, then did other things, walked around, whatever. And then at night as well, walked along the beach.
All the locals come out in the evening time. Actually, they're out in the morning too. They're doing yoga at 5:30 in the morning on the beach, and then at night you'll just go. There's like yoga class after yoga class along the promenade, and you got people on the beach enjoying the sunsets. It's really nice.
So I can understand why during the rainy season, although you're saying that it just comes and goes on a daily basis, but are there longer stretches that people might consider if I've got to leave at this time of year because it's so hot, because you're close to the equator, maybe at that point going a little bit further north or
Yeah, just alone in Vietnam, they have a beautiful town called Dalat, which I spent 6 months at. And it's like the Northwest, to be honest with you. It's like they call it in one of those internal spring cities up in Dalat. It's a higher level. It's up in the mountains. And it's got a beautiful night market. There's lakes all over the place. And the temperature, it's probably high of 80. Nobody has air conditioning and nobody has heaters. It literally stays within that zone. It gets somewhat almost chilly at night, which even during the summer, it'll get down a little bit. So, but it's still such a nice place, and it's where all the fresh vegetables and stuff are grown. You can go up there and just eat like a king on pennies.
that sounds like paradise.
Yeah.
So what about crime? Have you've been down there for what, 3, 4, 5 years now?
Yeah, since 22, I moved here. I've never personally experienced any crime. I've left my phone probably half a dozen times at a restaurant or something like that, and they're chasing me down to give me my phone. You could put down a bag along out on the beach. You don't have to worry about somebody stealing your stuff. Even if there is crime here, it's usually a foreigner getting drunk or something like that, or out of control, or it's maybe somebody there was a misinterpretation or something like that. But if there's something bad that happens, there are CCTVs around and everybody knows everybody here. And that's the nice thing, is because the culture is so close, everybody's so close, that it's like you're not going to steal from your neighbor. Most people, they know better, they're not going to steal from their neighbor, and everybody feels neighborly here. The crime, I don't know what the statistics are, but you just don't see it. You don't see police. We're in a communist country. I can't see the last time I saw a police officer, other than if it was at a traffic accident, which those are rare. So you don't see very few places. A bank might have a security guard. But if you go to the Philippines, which I also enjoy, you can't go to a 7-Eleven without a security guard, or the hair salon has a security guard. Here, it's just a very different feeling, because, again, it's a freedom thing.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall seeing any police patrols or anything like that during my both stays that I had there in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And there were times over the course of the week, I was out sometimes at 1, 2 in the morning, just
Yeah.
walking around, and had no feelings of concern or anything of that nature. I felt completely safe.
Yeah, I love walking around actually the alleys, because the alleys in Vietnam have some of the best hidden restaurants and best
Yes.
little spots. And I'll just see an alley and I'll just go walking through the alley. I don't even think about crime or whatever. People say always be aware and all that kind of stuff, which is true. But even late at night, walking down these alleys, and you'll see the lights on different little places, and it's just some little mom and pop place that happens to have a little coffee shop, and they're in their houses upstairs, and stop in there for a cup of coffee or beer or whatever, just to say hello. And it's just one of the great experiences, actually, is walking alleys here in Vietnam.
The first time I went down there, I saw several of these alleys, and some of them were really tiny, but you have to shuffle through them. And then at the end of the alley, there was like a big restaurant there, and the only way you can get in there by going through this alley.
Yeah, it's different, but it's a really great way to explore the local neighborhoods.
Yeah, for sure. With regards to when you started doing this, did you find any sort of issues with like red tape? And we talked a little bit about the visa situation. It was pretty easy to get. You just get them online for $25. And that can go up to 90 days. But did you find any other sort of challenges?
Yeah, the biggest challenge really is banking is a challenge. Not just because banking is a challenge, but if All my accounts are still in the US. There's something called Remitly where you can just send money here, or just my ATM card. I use a Schwab card, which is Les Schwab account, which they don't charge any international transaction fees. So that's a great savings. I get about $100 a month, just a rebate from them for all the different international fees. But the problem is, like 3 times I've had my card have some kind of scam thing where you have to call in, and none of it's from here. It's all somebody in the US or someplace, but it's not like a local place took my card and used it. But now I have to get a new card. They'll expedite it over here, but during that period, but also it's like the verification codes, because I gave up my US number, because it's crazy to pay Verizon or AT&T all that money when here you can get a local SIM card for the month. I think I pay $6 a month and I get 5 gig a day. And it's so inexpensive. But really, it's more the verification codes with your different bank accounts that, they go to my son for him to get the text code, and it might be the middle of the night here. So it's more of an inconvenience thing. But that's really the biggest issue that seems to be, okay, it's tax time and now I got to do my taxes, but I can't get some verification code, or it won't authenticate because I'm in Vietnam. Most of the red tape is from the U.S. side of things. It's not the red tape here. Because once you're here, you give them your visa when you check in, or your passport, you check into a hotel or apartment. They have it. They just want to check the visa is still good, because they have to report all of the people that come in. But other than that, there's nobody bothering you. If you want to go rent a motorbike for the day or the week, you go up, they take a picture of your passport, you don't even pay a deposit, and it's $4 a day, $4 to $6 a day to rent a motorcycle if you want to go out and explore. It's crazy traffic. Don't do it for a beginner, because it's definitely not for the faint of heart, like you found out.
What about gas? Is gas expensive over there?
Gas has gone up here. It's probably up 30% since the Iran situation has occurred. I know I've got friends in the Philippines. They said that their prices almost doubled since that has happened. But gas normally is inexpensive, and especially if you're in a motorbike, you can put in $3 and it'll last you the week or something. So it's not expensive, because most of the bikes get very good gas mileage. Even a Grab, which is like an Uber. So you can take an Uber from one side to the town to the other, and the most you're probably going to pay is $5 or $6. Just to go to a local place that might be a mile away, you're paying like $1.20.
Grab all the time. Was there, I didn't pay anything.
It's like you don't have to have a vehicle here, so you don't have to drive. And that's one thing for seniors. And me, I can't drive. My brain, it doesn't work since I had my 2 brain surgeries, so it doesn't work right. If I try to go over a bridge, I have to close my eyes because I can't. It whacks my system up. It's nice to have the Grab. It's so expensive, so you can get around. If you need any kind of services, a cost for a housekeeper to come in and work all day in your house is maybe $10. And they're happy to have it. So it's not like you're underpaying or you should pay more. That doesn't make sense. You pay what the local rate is, and they're happy to have the work.
And there's a big difference in the tipping culture as well, isn't there?
Yeah, tipping isn't really a culture. In fact, like I said, I went yesterday for breakfast, and it was actually so inexpensive. I feel bad sometimes because it's so inexpensive. And I put a 50-cent tip down. It's in their local currency, obviously. And they're running out to hand me it back. And because tipping, especially in the local areas, it's like nobody tips. It's not expected.
For most industries, I think some industries, there's still tipping and whatnot that's expected, or requested, I should say.
Yeah, pretty rare. Most of the places, if you go into the expat areas, there's probably more of an expectation because they're used to maybe people who tip. But definitely if you go to the local areas, it's just the locals don't tip. Most of the service staff here get what's called a fair wage, so that they don't have to rely on tips. Their tips are included in the price even, which seems crazy, but that's the culture. So anything above that, they're just getting it as a bonus. It's not like they're counting on that as part of their wages.
Now, if you're going to be staying there for an extended period, do you have to do local taxes as well? You mentioned taxes in the U.S., but what about taxes in Vietnam? Do you have to do them there?
Only if you earn money here. So if you're earning your money here, then you would be subject to some sort of tax. But if your money is coming from Social Security or something like that, some kind of pension, you're on a tourist visa and you're just going to the ATM taking out money. So there's no reporting, there's nothing like that. So there's nothing that they could ever go back on, and it's not expected. It's only if you were here working as a teacher or something. There's a lot of foreigners who come here to teach English. They would be subject to a local tax. but not if you're here on
So
retirement or on vacation or anything like that. Even if you've been here for, and most of it's going to be taken out at the time through your employer. So it's not like you even have an expectation to file.
because I know in the US, if you're there for more than 6 months or so per year,
Yeah,
you have to get your social security number. You have to file taxes there.
I'm not sure about that. I've never had an issue, so I can only go off my own thing. I know that from the standpoint, if you're over here for 330 days or more working, you get like 125,000 tax-free from the U.S. But if you're only here, the 6-month thing doesn't apply. From the U.S. side, it's 330 days. Then you're no longer a tax resident. Then you can qualify for that over here.
Even if you have your bank accounts and everything
Yeah.
else still in the US.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. If you're working, if you're earning income outside of the U.S., to my knowledge, that's what it is. You could double check that, but 330 days outside of the U.S., then you can do, if you're working outside, then you have the first, I think it's 125,000 tax free.
Okay, yeah. That's a whole talking to different specialists.
Yeah. You just got to pick up a few things while you're out here. Be what people tell you and you read. One of the other things I wanted to point out was the quality of the healthcare and dental care and the costs,
Yes.
because a lot of seniors have that worry. I go to the dentist here. It's $8 for a cleaning. I had a issue again with my back. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a chiropractor. So I walk in, no appointment. I walk in, they sit me down. I'm on like a TENS machine where it's shocking my back for probably 20 minutes. Then I got about a 30-minute back massage that was just fabulous. And then I had like 5 adjustments on my back, and it was $12. I don't know what that would cost in the U.S. with the massage and all the machinery and stuff, but it was very nice. Healthcare here, they have quality hospitals. If you get in the outer areas, there's obviously not the big hospitals, but if you're in Da Nang, the majors, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, all of those have major hospitals, and the service you get, you're not sitting in there for hours and hours in the emergency room. You walk up and you're taken care of. It's very fast, very clean, very efficient. So I wouldn't worry about the healthcare part. I don't personally have insurance, but I figure that I have some money in the bank that I have as a rainy day fund that if something major happened. But again, most of the time, even if you get like sick or cold, most people don't go to the doctor. You know what your symptoms are. You just go to tell the pharmacist what they are. They'll give you antibiotics for whatever you need, and they'll take care of you. So you don't even have to go to the doctor unless it's something that you don't know what it is or something serious, like you got some kind of accident or something. Then you could do that. But most of the people, even with my head condition, I go in and get recent scans and stuff. I think I had an MRI a year ago or so, and I want to say it was under $100 for an MRI with contrast. So the medical costs here aren't that high. Some people get some Blue Cross or something like that, which I would recommend, even though I don't follow my own recommendations, but it's inexpensive here. I want to say probably $800 to $1,200 you can get a good policy for a major accident. And that includes like a helicopter service to fly you out if you were somewhere remote. So international insurance is very cost efficient compared to what you're
Would
going to
that
pay.
be from,
They'll even fly you to like Bangkok or something, which has, no offense to the U.S., but has way better hospitals than the U.S. does.
is it an insurance company from Vietnam that would provide you with that sort of policy?
Blue Cross has a plan here. And there's also like it's a company called Safety Wing. They have a great policy. And it's not just Vietnam. If you travel to Thailand, you travel outside, it's for really any place other than if you're going to be in the U.S. You can't be more than 2 or 3 weeks in the U.S. because they don't want to cover you if something happens. Unfortunately, the costs in the U.S. and Canada's different because they have their own system. But in the U.S. has become so absurdly expensive that you're paying more for your insurance there than I'm paying for my condo rental.
If they're not a resident in Canada, then you don't really qualify for the type of stuff. But there's lots of times, like if I wanted to get an MRI done, it would be at least 6 months, and that's through doctor referral only.
Yeah. Now here you just go in and say, I want an MRI, and then they'll read it for you and tell you what's up. You don't even have to, literally don't even have to make an appointment. You just walk in and say, this is what I'd like, and they, okay. And it's very quick, very efficient.
They do it there. Why can't they do it here?
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially at those sort of rates.
Exactly. Yeah, and you don't have to pay. You don't have to go see your doctor to get a referral to the specialist who then sends you to the x-ray place. And then you got to go back to the doctor. Literally, you go in there, they read it. The next day you have your results, and it's that simple.
Because I think that is one of the major things that holds people back from doing this sort of trip. They're afraid. What happens if something major happens? I'm not covered. I got to get extra insurance. It's the fear factor that I'm hoping that these 3 or 4 segments that we do for different areas of the world will help ease that burden of thought for many of our audience. And so they can see that, oh, you know what? This isn't such a big leap of faith or a big risk. Yeah, I could do it. Here's all these other people that have done it. They've done it successfully. Then I can do it as well. That's the purpose of this session and the other sessions that I'm hoping to do for other countries as well. Just a couple other countries to get the general feel of what retiring abroad could look like for different people in different places.
Yeah, I would definitely not hold back for the healthcare situation. If that's your worry, you literally could get a full-time healthcare person in your home. If you had some serious health issues where you're worried about it here, you can get somebody, a live-in person, a caregiver, for $300-400 a month. You're going to help feed them and buy their necessities, but how could you do that in the U.S. and have a full-time person helping you, running to get your
And they'll cook.
groceries? They'll cook, they'll run and get your groceries. It's a different place. Once you get past that mindset, and for me, it was literally getting rid of the house, getting rid of the cars. I literally have one box of stuff at someone's house. And that's all I have, other than I have a luggage I check, one carry-on. That's my possessions. So it's a very freeing thing once you get to that point that at any given day, tomorrow I might say, I'm bored, I want to go someplace else. And so for me, I don't do like, oh, this is my base, I have some place that I pay for 12 months. I'm more of a slow traveler. Again, I'll spend time in Da Nang, eat all the great foreign restaurants, and then I'll go up to the mountains for a couple of months in Dalat, where it's very nice and cool. Then I'll come down and maybe go to Bangkok for a couple of weeks, or Hua Hin in Thailand, and a couple of weeks in Bali, and say, okay, let's just come back here. And so there's nothing holding me anywhere, which is very liberating.
And that sounds amazing, but it also sounds like you don't really set any sort of roots. Like you wouldn't buy a place in Da Nang. You've got a nomadic sort of lifestyle.
At some point, I may change my mind. Currently, I've thought about buying a condo here in the town my son's living at, because it's very up. It's like Da Nang 10 years ago or 20 years ago. They're starting to build high rises and that sort of stuff. And from an investment standpoint, the real estate sector here, you can actually do very well in if your timing is correct. But you can't own the land, so condos you can buy, but on the land, it's a more difficult situation unless you're married to a local person. So real estate usually isn't really top of mind, but when the rent is so cheap, why lock yourself into something? You still get a year contract, they're going to give you a better rate, but if you can invest your money somewhere else that's going to get you a higher return and liberate you and free you, and people are more than willing to give you a 3-year contract on a rental or something. It's very rare that somebody does that, but if you're looking for long-term stability in your payments, it's possible. But it's not really the culture for tourists or expats to buy too much over here. It's the exception, probably, rather than the rule.
I guess it all depends on how much of your stuff you want, whether you're willing to use other people's things.
It's different because when you go into a new condo or something, it's not an empty condo. It's fully furnished, big screen TVs, microwave, all the dishes are there. So you can come in there. The things that I miss is like having my own barbecue, so I can barbecue a steak if I want it or something like that. But I eat out every meal anyways. I think I've cooked once in the last month. And I love to cook, but the food here is so good and it's so inexpensive, it doesn't make sense to buy all this stuff and get all the different food processors and all that, all the toys and gadgets that we're used to in the U.S. that you buy and then you go, oh, something else looks better, than you sell it at a garage sale the next year, and you keep that stuff rotating. Here, you can actually spend your money on things that are important to you for that day and not necessarily have to worry about, I'm going to lug it around with me.
That sounds amazing.
Enjoy it.
So can you say that, do you have any challenges now? You talked a little bit about some of the challenges before, but just throughout the whole process of going through that retirement, moving there, and even now as you're continuing to stay there, any sort of challenges, if you can go back and tell yourself, hey, watch out for this or do this differently, what would you tell people?
God, I have challenges with my own medical conditions. That's my biggest challenge. I live with my head. I live in pain every day, and that's my internal challenge. From an external challenge, It's really, you just got to do it. You just got to set your mindset to go, commit to doing it. It's very liberating, and I don't know, it just gives you a sense of freedom. There's something about it. It's hard to put on word, but I can't really go back. I don't know there's much I've changed, but overall, it's been a wonderful journey, and I'm very happy with where I've been, what I've done. Looking forward to the next stages. I got a trip coming up to the Philippines after that. I'm going to come back, but I don't even know where I'm going to settle yet. I'll figure it out as I get closer to that time, which is only about a month away now, but I'm going to have to figure out. But usually a lot of times it's, 2 days, we got 2 days before we need to move, and it's, okay, where are we going to go? Or what do we want to do? If you can get like that kind of lifestyle, it's fantastic. But a lot of people here, I have a friend here that he's been in the same place 7 years. He's more stable, likes it here, enjoys his place. So there's options. But I like the freedom around here of being able to go to so many different places, especially Southeast Asia here, where everything around you is close and inexpensive.
I am so pleased that we were able to meet you and your wife Rika when I was there in Da Nang, and it was a great time that we had chatting and whatnot. And I'm so thankful that you were able to join us today and you were willing to share your experience with our audience. So again, thank you very much for your participation here and your input, and really appreciate it.
Thank you, Viraf. It's been a pleasure, and I would highly recommend everybody consider not just Vietnam, but retirement outside of the U.S. I don't know how you can do it there, especially on a fixed budget, and your dollar goes so much more, and there's so much more out there that you should probably try to open up to and make a test run and see what it's like. And there's a lot of people that are in their own little bubble. I remember meeting people in the U.S. They haven't even been out of their state before, and it's like there's a world out there waiting to be explored. Grab a little piece of it.
That is one statistic that I know is that a very high percentage of Americans don't even have a passport.
Yeah.
So they can travel within the U.S., but they don't really venture out. And like you said, there's so many beautiful places out there and so many great experiences that you can have. So encouraging everyone to get out and see what else is out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially now, the prices have gone up so high throughout North America, both U.S., Canada. Prices have gone up so high for everything. Highest number of people that are at food banks, trying to feed their families and things like that. Whereas the same amount of money over in places like Vietnam, Thailand, can go so much further.
Yep, definitely. Highly recommend it.
Thanks again very much for joining us.
All right. Thank you. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Like this episode? Then subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, register for upcoming notifications at SeniorOpedia.com.